Hello and welcome to this tutorial, and in this tutorial we'll be learning how you could create your own user interface from scratch. Now in the previous tutorial we have already designed this user interface, so basically it was a drag and drop, and we have already used a template which had this like the design, and we did not create our application from zero. So in this tutorial what we are going to do is that we are going to create our own user interface from scratch. So basically we are going to create a new project. So in order to create a new project, simply go on file, go to new and select new project, and let's name it as my new app, then click next. Now you want to make sure that you have clicked this phone and tablet option, and that is because we are developing applications for just phone and tablet. Now if you were to develop applications for Wear or TV, then you could select these options right here. So in this case we are going to stick with phone and tablet, and the API level which I am going to use is 15, which is nothing but the ice cream sandwich. Now click next. So as in this case we don't want any content on our activity, we are going to select the empty activity, then we click next, and the name of our main activity is nothing but main activity, then we click finish, and our project is going to load up in a new window. So as you could see, we have two projects right here. Now as we are not working with our first project, we simply close out of this window, and now we have our second project, which is my new app, and this app consists of the same things as the previous app, but the thing is that we don't have any content onto our screen. Now as you could see, there is some content on our screen, so we make sure that we delete it, and that is because we want to learn how we could develop our own applications from scratch. So once we are done deleting with it, the next thing which we want to do is we want to add our own text onto it. So in order to add our own text, inside the widgets folder we are having a large text option, so you simply click it and just drag and drop it onto your screen. So let's keep it there. Now let's say we want to change the text of this, so we simply select it and go to properties. So as you could see, the text is displaying large text, so we simply click on it and we type login. So as you could see, it is displaying the message login. Now make sure that you place it properly. Now the next thing which we are going to do is that we are going to add two text boxes to it so as to accept the email and the password. So now if you want to add the email, you simply go to this text field right here, and the first field is going to be the email. So you make sure that you click it and drag it over your application, and as you could see, we have the field for entering our email. Now the next thing which we want to enter is password. So again, go to the text field, click password, drag it onto your application, and then place it. So as you could see, this is the basic interface of our login application or the login screen. Now the next thing which we want is we want a button which allows user to submit his login data. So again, we go here and we select the option of a button. So we click the button, drag it and drop it over here. Now if you want to change the text of this button, simply click on it, and in the properties go to text and change this text to, let's say, login. Now if you want to change the position, you could do so just by dragging and dropping this button to any of the position desired. So now let's say I want to place it here, so I simply drag it and drop it over. So now we have successfully created the user interface for our Android login screen. Now I wanted to show you one more way of doing this, and that is the hard way. So in order to do it, you simply go on to this XML file. When you click on this text, you could access your XML file, and you need to add each and every field by typing some code into it. So for example, in order to enter a button or in order to add a button, you simply type in this code, and that is going to set up a button for you. But this design approach is a lot easier as compared to just writing code for your Android application, so it saves you a lot of time, and it also saves you from syntax errors while writing your Android tag. So in this tutorial we have pretty much learned how you could design a basic simple login screen for your Android application. Now in the next tutorial we are going to go through the same designing part, and we are going to learn some more important things about designing your UI. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Thank you. Hello and welcome to this tutorial, and in this tutorial we'll be designing the user interface of our Android application. Now this tutorial is going to be the continuation of the previous tutorial in which we have designed this basic login screen for our application, and now in this tutorial we are going to study about some things which are called as resources. But before directly jumping into the resources, the first thing which I need to mention is we need to learn how you could change the text into this login button. So for example, let's say if you want to name this button as something different, then one way of doing this would be just clicking on it, going to properties and just changing the text property right over here, so that you could replace the text in this box and it is going to change the text for you. But one more method or one more way of doing this is by going into the XML file. So if you open up your XML file, you'll see that the button lies over here. So as we want to change the text of this login button, we could simply select this property of Android, which is Android:text, and it is going to change the text for us. So let's say if you want to change the text from login to, let's say, click here. So we simply type in click here, and as you could see, the text has been changed. So even if we switch to the design view, you could see that the text in the button has been changed. Now one more thing which I want to discuss is how you could increase the size of this text area. So for example, in this login screen we have two text areas. One is to accept the email and the next one is to accept the password. Now let's say you want to increase the size of this text area. So let's say the username or the email is going to be a bit longer than this, then how you could increase the size of. So let's attempt to change the size of these two text areas by using the XML file. So when we go in our XML file, you'll notice that we have two text areas. So this edit text is basically for the email. So when you click on it, it is going to highlight your text area. So now in order to increase the size of this text area, we are going to type some simple code. So as you could see, the width of your text area is not yet mentioned here. So we go into this edit text tag and we simply type in Android:width, and then we are going to type the width which we want to specify. Now the thing is that you could specify the width in pixels, but the issue with pixels is that the size of every pixel on every different device is going to be different. So instead of using pixels directly, we are going to use a unit for defining pixels which is called as the density pixels. So in this case, I think that 320 density pixels would be sufficient width for our text area. So we go ahead and type Android width equals 320 dp, and dp stands for density pixels. So now we are done adding that. As you could see, the size of the text area has been increased. Now if you copy the same code and if you paste it in your password field or your password tag, it is also going to change the size of your password field. So as you could see, we have increased the size of both the email area as well as the password area. So now once we are done with this, we switch on to the design view, and the next we are going to discuss in this tutorial is going to be the resources. So you might have noticed that when you click on this button, you are going to get a light bulb on side of it, and this light bulb is nothing but it specifies some warning. That means we have done something incorrect. Now in order to check the warning, you simply click on this button, and as you could see, there is a small arrow right over here which points towards the right. Then you simply need to click on this arrow and you want to add a resource. Now before adding up the resource, there is a thing which I need to explain. So basically, whenever you are going to create your Android application and whenever you are going to have some text into your Android application, every text which we use in our application, we need to make sure that the text which we are entering should be treated as a resource. So we cannot just directly jump in, and we could not add any text directly onto your activity. So when we click on this light bulb over here, and when we click on it, it prompts us to name the resource. So for example, this is our resource, which is nothing but the string which we have specified in the button. So let's name this thing as, let's say, button name, and let's click OK. So as you could see, when I click it, the text is going to disappear, and instead of it, we are going to get like add string / button name. Now if you switch to your text view, you could see that it appears like click here over here. Now the thing is that all the resources which are related to our Android applications are stored in this app folder. So if you click on app folder, and then we have a folder which is called as resources, which is going to hold each and every resource which is required for our Android application. So if you click on it, you could see that we again have a folder which is called as values, and if you open this values folder, you are going to get a XML file which is going to store all the strings for us. So this is the XML file which is called as strings, and it is going to contain reference to each and every string. So when we open up the XML file, we are going to notice that each and every string which is used in our application is stored as a resource in this particular strings.xml file. So as you could see, we have the string name, which is nothing but the button name, and inside it we have stored the value, which is click here. So the main purpose of the string.xml file is to store each and every string used in our application as a resource, and it is going to refer to each and every string which is stored in our application. So now once we switch on to the activity main.xml, we are going to notice that the text has been changed to click here. So that's it for this tutorial, and in this tutorial we have learned how you could change the text of the button or the text area by using the XML file. We have also learned how you could resize your text areas, and we have also learned about resources and strings. So how strings in your Android application are being treated as resources, and they are going to be stored in a special XML file which is called as the strings.xml. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Thank you. Hello and welcome to this tutorial, and in this tutorial we'll be learning how you could design the user interface of your Android application by using the Java code. Now in the previous tutorials we have already learned a method for creating the user interface, and the first method which we have studied is the direct dragging and dropping of elements onto the user interface, and the next method was by using the XML code. So basically we could use the XML tag in order to change the user interface. So by using XML tags we could enter buttons, text views and all that kinds of stuff onto our application page or onto our activity. Now in this tutorial we'll be learning how to design the user interface by purely using Java code. So for this tutorial we'll be creating a new project. So you go ahead and create a new project, and let's name it as my new app. So we name the project and we click next, and make sure that you have selected the API level 15. Now click next, and in this case we are going to select the blank activity. Now once you have selected it, click on next. Now let's say the name of the activity is main activity. Now click finish, and now once everything is set up, you just go into this XML text right over here, and what we are going to do is that we are going to delete each and every component which is present right now in our application. So basically we delete this text view right here, and once we delete it, the next thing which we do is we go on to our main activity.java file, and we are also going to delete some of the things from here. So basically here we have the public class main activity, and what we are going to do is that we are going to go inside this onCreate method right over here, and we are going to delete everything right from the toolbar. So make sure that you delete it. So once you have deleted that, the next thing which we do is we also delete these methods, and that is because we are not going to be needing them. So go ahead and just delete all these things. Now another thing which you need to do is that we have the public class main activity which extends app compact activity, and now what we are going to do is that we are going to remove this entirely. So we are going to name it as public class main activity extends activity, and this activity package is present in the android.app.activity. so make sure that you have imported it, and now as you could see we have nothing else on our layout screen. Now once everything is deleted and cleared, the next thing which we need to do is we need to go into this main activity.java file, and we need to start writing the Java code for designing our interface. So before designing the interface, the thing which we need to do is that we need to use a certain layout so that the elements are placed in the screen in that manner. So in this case we'll be using relative layout. Now what relative layout means is that each and every element which is present on our activity is going to be placed in relation to each other. So if you don't understand relative layout right now, so you need to hold on, and it will make more sense when we go into the depth of this tutorial. So now one more thing which we want to do is that we need to remove these imports as well, because they don't make any sense as we'll not be using them right now. So make sure you delete that, and it is just going to clean up your code. So we'll be only dealing with those methods or those codes which we are going to use. Now the next thing which we want to do is that we want to import the layout. So in order to import the layout, we go here and type import android.widget, as the layout is present in the widget package. So we type android.widget, and then dot relative layout, as we'll be using the relative layout. Now once we have imported it successfully, the next thing which we want to do is that we want to import a button. Now let's say that we want to add a button onto our activity, so we need to import the button. So we type import android dot widget dot button, and it is going to import the button for us. Now the next thing which we want to do is that we want to use this relative layout as well as buttons into our onCreate method. So we go in here and then we create objects for these. So first we create the object for relative layout. So we type relative layout, and let's name the object as my layout. So we type my layout equals new relative layout, and in the parameters we are going to specify this. So this is basically a keyword. Now if you are familiar with Java, then you could know that this sentence or this line of code right here is basically nothing but we have created the object of the relative layout and we have named it as my layout. So this is basically object initialization. Now the next thing which we do is we do the same for the button. So we create object for the button. So we type button, then let's name this button as my button equals new button, and also in the parameter section we specify this. And now once these two objects are created, we go ahead and add them onto our activity. Now in order to add a button onto activity, we initially specify the layout object which we are using. So in this case we are using the layout which is called as my layout. So we type my layout dot add view. Now this add view is going to add the elements onto your layout. So now in this case our layout is the relative layout and we want to add a button. So in the parameter section of this we are going to specify the button name or the button object name. So here we specify my button, and this is going to add the button to our layout. Now the next thing which we want to do is that we want to set the content view to the new layout which we have created, which is nothing but my layout. But the thing is that we have a line of code from our previous project, so we want to make sure that we delete it and we specify the new code right over here. So we type set content view, and inside it we specify the layout which we are using. So in this case, as we are using my layout, so we type my layout inside it. Now once this is done, we save the code. Now in order to check if we have written the right code, we run the app on the emulator. So as you could see, when we run our application onto the emulator, we get a button right over here. Now the thing is that we have not specified any color or we have not specified any text inside the button, so it is just appearing as a gray colored box. And basically what we are going to do is that we are going to specify color and other properties to this button in our next tutorial. So basically what we have learned in this tutorial is that how you could use Java code in order to design the user interface. Now we have gone through very basic part, that is we have just studied how we could add a simple layout to your activity and also how you could create a button, and then finally we have learned how you could add the elements into your layout, and then finally we have learned how to set the content view to the current layout. So make sure that you implement this code in your Android Studio, and also make sure that you delete the unnecessary code so that it avoids confusion and you could understand the code in a much more better way. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Thank you. Hello and welcome to this tutorial, and this tutorial is going to be the continuation of the previous tutorial in which we were studying the states of the activity. So in this tutorial we are going to add up some more states of the activity so that we could understand in which state the particular activity is. Now we already have this onCreate activity with us, which was predefined in our program. Now we want to make sure that we also add the other activities such as the onStart, onResume, onPause, onStop, and all the other activities which we want. So in order to add those activities, instead of typing in the code right here, what you could do is that you could use a method or you could use a technique which is called as the code completion. Now in order to use code completion, you simply click on the place where you want to insert your code and hold the Alt key on your keyboard and simply press insert. So once you click that, you are going to get a set of options which will paste some code depending upon your selection. Now in this case we want to include the override methods, so we are going to select the option for override methods, and it is going to give us a lot of options inside the override method. Now inside it we want to select a method which is the onStart method. So as there are a lot of method over here, you could just click on some method, and in order to search for your method, you could just type in your method. So we want on start. So as you could see, we have our method which is on start right over here. So we simply click this method and hit OK, and it is going to include an on start method for us. Now once you have your on start method with you, the next thing which you need to do is that you need to copy this log message into the on start method so that it could be displayed when the on start method is executed. So we just simply copy this, go in the on start method and just paste it over here. Once we are done copying this, we are going to replace this on create by on start. So we type on start. Also we have to include some more methods like the on pause and on resume. So I go ahead and write those methods as well. So again, if you want to insert some code, you hold on the alt key, then press the insert key, and then finally we go to the override methods in order to select the methods which we want. Now in order to search our method which is on resume, we type on resume, and if you go a few lines down here, you could find the on resume method. So click OK, and let's import other such methods by using the same technique. So the next method which we want to import is the on pause. Again, alter insert, override methods, on pause, click OK. Now once I am done adding all the methods, I'll go through the methods which I have added. So the first method which we have added is the on start, then we have added the on resume, then we have added on pause, then we have added the on stop method, then we go to the on restart, then we go to on destroy, then we have the two big methods which is on save instance, that is going to save the instances for us, and then also in order to restore the instances we have on restore instance state. So make sure that you add up all these things or all these methods into your application. Now the next thing which we want to do is we want to copy this log message and we want to paste the log message in each and every method. So just copy it and make sure that you have the proper message with it. So for example, instead of this on start, we are going to have on resume, and make sure that you make the same change in each and every method right here so that we are able to identify these methods correctly. So once you are done adding the log messages to all your methods, your code is going to look like this. So we have the method, then we have added the log message, and inside the log message we have replaced the message by the name of the method. So make sure that you have your code everything set up like this. Now if you have missed adding some code in your application, then make sure that you pause this video and watch each and every line of code and make sure that it is added onto your application. So basically we have added our code from here. So the first method which we have added is on start, and we go on adding the methods, and our last method which we have added is the on restore instance state. Now once you are done writing the code in your application, you go to the main.xml and you simply run your application by clicking on this button, and your emulator is going to start for you. So as you could see, our app has successfully been launched into the emulator, but the main thing is that we needed to keep an eye on the log messages which we have printed out, and those log messages are going to be displayed into this console right here. But the thing is that it is going to display each and every event which occurs on the emulator, but we actually want the messages which we have printed out. So if you could notice, there are some of the messages like on create and on start which are displayed in the console, but the thing is that if you don't want the other messages to be displayed, and if you want that only the messages which are displayed by us should be popped up, then you could do that by going into this option and you click on this edit filter configuration, and we are going to create a filter which is used in order to filter out the messages which are only required by us. So we go ahead and create a new filter. Let's name this filter as my filter, and inside the log tag we display the message name which we have used. For example, our message name in this case was my message. So in the log tag we type my message, and when we click OK, as you could see, the only events with the my message tag are going to get displayed. So as you could notice here, the first state of our activity was on create, and on create basically happens when our application loads up the UI and everything for us. Then we have the on start, and that is pretty much going to start our application. Then finally we have the on resume state, and on resume state is nothing but when the activity is just present on the phone. So now if you hit the back button it is going to pause the activity and we get the on pause state, and after the on pause state we get the on stop stage, and in the on stop stage the application completely stops its execution, and finally we have the on destroy state, which destroys the resources which are held up by our application. Now what happens if we start our application once again? So we go into the menu, we select our application, and as you could see, the on create state has started again, which loads up the layout for us. Then we have the on resume. This time we are not going to click the back button, but instead we are going to click the home button. And when we click the home button, what happens is that the activity enters into the on pause state. So the application is paused for the moment. And then we have on save instance, which is going to save the instance for us. So when we get back to the application, all our data is going to get saved and we could use it. And finally we have the on stop state in which the application stops performing. Now if we again go back and if we open our app, it is going to show us on resume. So that means we have resumed the execution of our application. So those are some different states of our activities. So basically we have studied the on start, on resume, on pause, on destroy and on create states, and it is extremely important to know these states while developing Android applications, and that is because we need to take care of certain things in the applications which are nothing but the user data. For example, if you want to create an application that the data should be preserved when the user exits out of the app, then it is very necessary to understand all these cases or all these states so that you could use them to your advantage. So that's it for this tutorial, and I hope you understood all the states and why states are used in activities and how you could use them to your advantage. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Thank you. Hello and welcome to this tutorial, and in this tutorial we'll be learning about the different states of your Android activity. Now in the previous tutorial we have gone through the basic overview of activity, in which we studied how you could just change the user interface of your activity. And we have also studied the two ways in which you could change the user interface. So the first way was the design view, or the design way, in which you could simply drag and drop the elements onto your activity and then just use the properties in order to change the content of it. And the next way was by using the XML code, by using the XML tags, which allows you to insert any element on your activity screen, and you could also change the background color as we have done right over here. Now in this tutorial what we are going to do is that you are going to leave the user interface apart, and we are going to go in much more depth about the activities logic. Now in this tutorial what we are going to do is that we are going to study the different states of your main activity. So for example, if in the previous tutorial we have ignored this code, and that is because it is a bit difficult to understand this code for a beginner, and in this tutorial what we are going to do is that we are going to go through this code and we are going to understand what some of the code means. So for this tutorial we are going to study the states of an activity. So for example, as I've explained in the previous tutorial, this code is the brain of your Android application. So it handles everything, it handles each and every activity, and it is also used in order to manipulate the data. So what happens is that this activity right here which we have created, which is named as the main activity, it is basically a subclass of a main activity class which contains all the methods which are used in order to run an Android application. Now if you have some basic understanding of Java, then it would be easier for you to understand these things. So as I've earlier explained, that the main activity or any activity which we are going to create in our Android application is going to be the subclass of the main activity. Now in this case it is typed as public class main activity extends app compact activity. So this thing right here, which is the main activity, is inheriting some properties from the app compact activity, and the thing is that this app compact activity is also a subclass of the most important activity which contains all the methods. So basically we could say that the main activity is indirectly accessing all the properties from the most important or the superclass activity. Now what happens is that when you run your activity goes through a certain number of states. So for example, when we are loading up your application onto your emulator, what happens is that this main activity enters into the first state, which is called as the on create. And on create is nothing but a state in which your activity starts creating itself. For example, the on create state is basically used in order to set up everything for your activity. So this onCreate is basically like loading, it is used for loading up the content on your application. So it sets the layout, it adds the text boxes and all the widgets which we have used in our application. So this is one of the states of our application, and an Android application or the Android activity has a lot of states. For example, it has on create, on destroy, on pause, on resume, and all those kinds of states. And if you want to develop Android applications, so it is the basic requirement that we understand all these stages. Now in this tutorial what we are going to do is that we are going to study all the states one by one by printing the log information on our Android application, so that we could understand how the Android activity enters from one state to another. So what we are trying to achieve is that we are trying to print out the current state of our activity onto the output screen or onto the emulator. So in order to do that, we'll need to import some classes. So the first thing which we will need to import is the log. So in order to import it, we type import, then we type android dot util dot log. And if you're familiar with the basic concepts of Java, you might have understood what I've done here. I've basically imported the log package which is present in the android.util, and this basically allows us in order to print out the log info. So once we are done with this, the next thing which we need to do is we need to go into this public class main activity, and inside it we are going to create a string. So in order to create a string, we type private static final string, and let's say we name the string as tag, and we type this equals, let's name the string as my message. So we type my message. Now once we are done with this, the next thing which we do is, as we need to print out the log information in the onCreate method or the onCreate state, so we go inside this onCreate, and inside it we type the basic log information. So in order to display out the log information, we type log.i, and it is going to contain two parameters. The first parameter is going to be the string. So in this case we have the string which is nothing but the tag, and the next thing which we want to print out is the state. So for example, in this case we want to print out onCreate, so we just copy this and we paste it so that we could understand that the activity has entered the onCreate state. Now just give a semicolon. So basically what we are trying to achieve is that we want to print out the log information in each and every activity state, so that we could understand in which state is the current activity is present. So in the next tutorial we are going to add some other activities such as on resume, on pause and on stop. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Thank you.